What is going on, Boiler Nation? We are back after a 5-6 month hiatus after the NCAA tournament ended. The Boiler Breakdown is back, ready to talk some Boiler football. Tanner Lee in the house, Evan Webb, Andrew Eiler, and Evan, I will let you introduce our special guest.
Yeah, we have an awesome special guest here. We've got the president of the Ross-Ade Brigade, Kylee Taylor, here. So, Kylee, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
So, Kylee, what made you want to get involved with the Ross-Ade Brigade? I guess on top of that, did you grow up a Purdue fan before you became a Purdue student?
So no, my dad's a big Notre Dame fan, so I actually grew up watching Notre Dame football. Yeah, me too. I mean, I hate the Notre Dame fans. So, but in high school, I was really involved in like our student section. I was always like one that showed up early. I was kind of ridiculous with our themes sometimes. And when choosing a school, being involved in like a student section is something that I wanted to be involved in. And with Purdue being a Big Ten school, like the atmosphere at football games, I knew it was going to be like electric. And my freshman year, we didn't like have football because of COVID. And then my sophomore year, I joined like Ross-Ade Brigade like I had my freshman year, but they sent out like an email for interviews. And they're like, hey, like if you want a shot at like being on our board, like come out. So then we did like officer interviews, and then I left the meeting thinking that there was absolutely no chance that I was going to get in. And then I got an email later that night, and I called my mom, was like, Mom, they want me. Like, but that's kind of how I got my foot in the door.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Evan, were you a member of the brigade when you were in school?
I'm trying to think, when did it? Do you know when it started, Kylee? Was it like 2013?
That's a great question. I just rewrote our Constitution, which was made in 2016, I want to say. So we're more of like a relatively newer student section.
Because I'm trying to think, because background, Kylee. So Tanner and I, we were in school a long time ago, but I was there for the last 2 years of Danny Hope and the first years of Daryl Hazel. And I don't know if we had the Ross-Ade Brigade. It might have been the very, very it might have been like the very beginning of Hazel. I'm not sure. That's the time when they started doing like the whole like the furnace and the 2012 and all that embarrassing stuff.
I think it started in 2011, but didn't become big till years later. And the reason I remember that is I remember Coach Hope and Danny Hope always referring to the Ross-Ade Brigade at times. So I don't know. Maybe he kind of gave it that name, but didn't really have a actual formed organization around it at the time. I'm not sure, but anyways, it is now become what it is, and it's bigger and better than ever. And you are lucky to be a Purdue student right now and watching some fun Purdue football, because Evan and I could not say the same.
Well, getting last in football and basketball in the same year wasn't fun, Tanner?
Not really. But
great times.
Yes. So going into 2023, are there any changes the Ross-Ade Brigade has made to this year?
So one of the biggest changes we were kind of told about last year. And so I was on our executive board, but I was our social media person. And athletics was like, hey, like, we want to talk to you guys because John Purdue Club had kind of like released that we were getting new stadium renovations. And they were telling us that they were putting in like where Taylor Tunnel is, and that if we didn't relocate, that we'd be losing seats. And like, obviously with like the success that Purdue football has, like we're filling the stands like an hour well before games. And like, we want students to be excited to come out. And so we kind of just took it as like an opportunity to make our student section like even bigger and better than it has been before. So it's a little bit of an adjustment. The stadium is still under construction as we speak. They told me that it will be done at 7 a.m. Saturday morning.
Nothing like meeting a deadline.
Yeah, I mean, that's Purdue though. But it's a little stressful in that aspect, just because a lot of what Ross-Ade Brigade does is like our tailgate before all of the games. So I'm not sure how that's going to look, but we got a tour of the stadium the other day, which was really cool. And like standing underneath the Jumbotron and like having the team playing in your direction, I cannot wait for it to be full, because it's really, really, really cool.
So that was actually, I was going to ask you, did you guys have like any sort of input, like because I know that was just being on like the message boards and all that. That was kind of a big discussion point of like, wow, they're going to move the students. Like that's kind of like, it's really cool because Tanner and I we sit directly across from where the students now used to be. And it was always cool to walk into the stadium and see that sea of students, an hour before the game. And that was a question of like, if moving the students from that area, right where the, essentially the goal line of, or opposing team might be coming to the opposite end of the stadium, if that was going to, affect how the kind of the atmosphere. Did you guys have any say in that? Or was it kind of just like you had to either move there or lose seats?
It wasn't like an ultimatum. They were just like, if you choose like not to move, like you guys are going to lose seats, which isn't what we wanted. Mm-hmm. I think it'll honestly be crazier now that we are in the south end zone, especially when the opposing team is coming that direction. It's going to be like hectic over there. At the end of like last spring, we met with Walters in his office and he was like, yeah, I was so excited to come here as the head coach and have my opposing team right in front of the student section. And they're like, oh, but we're moving them. And he's like, man, like that's what I wanted. But I hope that we won't let him down and that will still be absolutely crazy for him this year.
I personally think it'll make Ross-Ade louder. Mm-hmm. It's going to remind me of when Mackey, before they renovated Mackey in 2011, I want to say, when the paint crew was all on one side of Mackey along with the band. That's what this is going to remind me of. I think in the addition of about 5,000 seats or so, up to a little above 61,000 capacity. So, I can't wait. I can't wait to see how everything looks and sounds come Saturday.
So the student section is going to be the whole south end zone, and then plus kind of on the horseshoe there. Yeah,
so we are the entire south end zone, and that I think it's the southeast corner all the way until the 30-yard line.
Okay.
So now, kind of what used to be the visiting teams section. Okay.
And then is the band still on the north side, or where's the band?
They're going to be in front.
So
right in front of the students. Okay.
Yeah, there's like bleachers underneath like where the standing bleachers are, and that's where like the band is going to sit and play.
Will you guys do any sort of, before I assume you was just kind of first come, first serve. Now I'm assuming those seats in the actual south end zone will be a pretty hot commodity for students. Are you guys going to do any sort of like lottery like the paint crew does for like lining up early, or is it just going to be, if you come early, you'll get a better seat, and if not, then you'll be, on the southeast side?
It hasn't been something that we talked about just because like seats are more relatively available than like inside Mackey. The way that we work is that we do like group signups. If you show up and like you're there for roll call, then like the order in which you come in and sign up with us is the order in which you get to go into the stadium. So we have like the groups that will show up, which get to go in early. RAB members get in 15 minutes earlier than general admission, and then general admission follows in behind them. So it really is to your benefit to show up earlier if you wanted like the better seats. I'm not sure if the south end zone is going to be like a super hot commodity just because it's only standing, like there's no seats.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, we're pretty much standing the entire game anyway, and I feel like a bunch of college students aren't going to mind sitting on the ground for 20 minutes. So
is there any planned road trips this year for the brigade?
Yes. So we like as an officer like board, we're going to Virginia Tech next weekend.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. And then I'm planning on going to all the away games. I'm from Northwest Indiana, so Northwestern is a relatively easy trip for me. But I am planning to go to Iowa and Nebraska. But then as for like taking students, we got approved to go to Ann Arbor this year. So which is really, really
at night. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, it's going to be cold, but it's nothing we're afraid of. I feel for UCLA and USC when they join the Big Ten because they have no idea.
I'm excited to see them play out in Minnesota come in November or whatever. As far as campouts, has there ever been a campout for a game for the brigade while you've been at Purdue, or is that something that could happen potentially this year, or how does that work? 'Cause I know the paint crew does campouts every once in a while. I didn't know if the brigade's allowed to, or if that's something that's been discussed at all.
So I know that like at Nittanyville, who is Penn State student section, like they do one before every game. The only one that we do, at least since I've been here, is the Hammer Down Cancer camp out, where we'll sleep outside of Ross-Ade the night before like the Hammer Down Cancer game. that also is the only game where we do a lottery to get into the stadium. So then we have people like sign up for a cornhole tournament and they like donate to like the link. And then if you win the tournament, then your group gets to go in first.
Very cool. What game is the Hammer Down Cancer game? I should know that off the top of my head, but I don't this year.
I want to say it's Ohio State, but don't.
I got you.
quote
Hold
me
on. Let's see.
that.
Let's see if it says here on the website. Okay, it's not saying it like I thought it was. My bad.
I know I saw the
hold
schedule
on.
of the promotion.
She is right. It is Ohio State.
That's why she's the president. So.
So you said you got to meet Coach Walters. That was kind of one of my questions too. Was like, have you got a chance to meet any of the staff, any of the team, and what's kind of been your thoughts as like a early impression?
So before like I was on our executive board, I don't think anybody had really like made it a point to kind of like bridge the gap between like the football team and the student section. And so like one of like our main goals is like to create like this unifying effect between like us and the football team. So last year we started attending like the Jeff Brom show, which kind of got me like an idea of how to like kind of weasel my way in with like athletics, like getting in contact with like coach and stuff. But as soon as Walters had like signed the contract, I was already like talking to who our advisor is in athletics. And I was like, when can we meet him? Like, I want to like get my foot in the door. Like, I want to know what he wants from us. Like, I want to make like Ross-Ade absolutely crazy. But I really, really like him. We were at the Walters show last night. And I mean, you guys being Purdue alum, the way that somebody talks about Purdue, like it's okay for me to like point fingers and like laugh at myself for being a Purdue fan sometimes, but like the way that he talks about Purdue and carries Purdue and how much like he loves the campus and like he didn't think he was gonna like it this much. Like this man said that he wants to retire in West Lafayette, and so as a Purdue fan, it makes me really, really happy that we have a coach who wants to like eat, sleep, and breathe like Purdue, which is really, really exciting. And not to say that I don't think Brom did or like didn't at some point, but he was kind of more like very professional and like straight to the point kind of guy, where I feel like Walters is extremely enthusiastic and like, I don't know, he's bringing a lot of energy and excitement to the stadium. So I'm really, really excited to see what he has for this season.
Yeah, it's a totally different energy the staff's bringing. I watched the Ryan Walters show last night, and it was awesome and I saw a picture of it too. I mean, you could tell when Walters said the place was packed, but then I saw a picture of it and it was packed there down there in the Union. But I like the comment you made there about Brom, because I always felt like Brom was real professional, didn't give a lot to the media, but I always felt like when he kind of flirted with Louisville the first time in 2018, after that he kind of had one foot leaning out the door a little bit, waiting for Louisville to open up. And I think all Purdue fans were just waiting for that day. It wasn't if it was a cause of win. And to hear Walters already saying he wants to retire at Purdue, his boys are 9 and 7 years old. And when they grow up, he wants them to be able to say they're from West Lafayette. That's so refreshing and reassuring to hear. Okay, so you are a senior, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what is your major?
My major is elementary education, so I'm going to school to be a teacher.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. The world needs teachers. My mom, who's now retired, was an elementary school teacher, so I grew up around the elementary school teachers. So I have all appreciation and respect in the world for teachers, especially elementary school teachers. And Evan's sister is an elementary school teacher, so I know he understands that. And Andrew's mom was a school nurse, so she was in education too. So what are plans after graduation? I mean, do you want to stay in the state of Indiana? Are you open to moving out of state?
So I think my plan right now is to stay home for like a year or so that way I can pay off as many of my student loans as possible. But then I'm pretty much like willing to go wherever. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm excited. Like traveling is something that I want to do. I don't know if I would like be content just like living in one state for a while. It's kind of exciting because like it's the first time in my life where I literally could go anywhere, and like there's nothing like really like holding me back to where like obviously like I love my parents and all, but like I'm definitely excited to be out on my own and just like kind of do my own thing.
Sure.
Now, do you have to do any sort of student teaching like this semester, next semester? What's your?
So I do have my student teaching placement. I'm in a second grade classroom in Lafayette at Wyandotte Elementary, which I've been there before and I really liked it there. Evan, I think your sister's in West Lafayette, isn't she?
She is. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the school systems down here, I really like them. So I'm not sure if West Lafayette is somewhere I'll stay for a year or if I'm going back home. It kind of just depends on my financial situation when I graduate. So
Totally get that. So who's been your favorite Purdue football player to watch during your time at Purdue so far? I know that's a tough one.
I'm so glad. No. It's an easy question.
Oh, okay.
I think I might know the answer just from your social media. I think I know who it is.
Evan, do you want to guess who it is?
Is it Payne Durham?
It is Payne Durham.
Okay.
I love Payne. Yeah. I've always watched college sports and I haven't been super big into the NFL until I started playing fantasy. And so I didn't have a team to cheer for. And so when Tampa Bay picked up Payne Durham, or I was even saying before he signed there, I was like, whatever team Payne Durham goes to, that's going to be my NFL team. So I am now a Bucs fan. So
that's a good way to do it. Picking a pro team after one of your favorite college players. So
yeah, Tanner would know nothing about that.
Yeah, that's how I became a Broncos fan.
I was like, "Where's your Orton Broncos jersey back there?"
It's in here. It's literally in the room back here. It's just not hung up on the wall yet. So
yeah, I was a little backstory, Carly. I was Tanner when was that, Tanner?
09.
What year was that? 09. Yeah. So Tanner used to be kind of a Bears fan, I think.
Mm-hmm. Bears,
like
Colts.
Me.
I was kind of a hybrid.
Yeah. And then the day he was ever at my house, the day it was announced that the Bears traded Kyle Orton for Jay Cutler, I remember he said, "All right, I'm a Broncos fan," and he stuck to it. So
ever since. So yes.
I was actually at the Big Ten Student Section Conference over the summer at the University of Minnesota. And we were giving a presentation and our treasurer and I were working on it. And he made little sly comments underneath the picture of me and Payne Durham he put on our PowerPoint. So we're giving this presentation to all these Big Ten schools. And underneath my picture with Payne Durham, he goes, AKA Kylie's boyfriend, in front of all these Big Ten student section people. But it was funny. Yeah, Payne Durham's definitely my favorite though, especially after the Music City Bowl when he pulled off that touchdown.
That is, one of my favorite plays, at least in the last decade of Purdue football. I mean, that's Evan, Andrew, and I caught so much smoke from Tennessee fans. I mean, they came after us, unlike anything I've experienced on social media when that bowl game was announced. And Evan and I were lucky enough to be on a Tennessee podcast as Purdue guests, and they were just giving to us left and right, and didn't hear from them after the bowl game so much.
No.
So.
They won that game, Tanner. Didn't you know that?
Oh yeah, according to Paul Feinbaum in the SEC. Yeah. But
do you have a favorite game that you've attended as a Purdue student?
I have a few favorites. So, I mean, Michigan State's kind of a given because anytime you get the opportunity to rush the field, that's a once in a lifetime experience. The Music City Bowl was really cool. I remember feeling like I was going to have a heart attack, especially in the fourth quarter when it kept going back and forth and back and forth. And then when we pulled off the win, I was like, there's no way we just did that. And then I wasn't at the Iowa game. However, it was the first bonding experience we had with Rab when I first got onto our board, and where I really started to make friends and stuff. And I kind of worked our social media pages that game as well. And was part of the reason why we had 300 people show up at the airport to cheer on Purdue after they had upset Iowa when they were number 2. So I think those 3 are probably my big favorite. I also was at IU, which was really cool this past year because obviously we won the Open Bucket, but then it solidified our chances of going to the Big Ten championship. But then again, the Big Ten championship was really cool too. So there's definitely a few good ones. I don't know if I could pick just one.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fortunate that I've had that many experiences, only being in the student section for now my 3rd year. because I know it always hasn't been like that.
The number of games you just rattled off is about as many wins as Tanner and Evan saw in 4 years.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
We did get a rush the field once. It was kind of
We did.
embarrassing looking back on it.
Oh yeah.
Beat an Ohio State team that ended up being 6-6, but you know.
It was the way we did it. We went in overtime. It was fine.
Yeah, blocked an extra
To be
point.
fair, we didn't want to rush the field, but we were like front row, and
we were gonna get trampled. Yeah, it was either
I was actually standing next to one of Rab's previous presidents, and his name is Stevie, and he was at the Michigan State game, and I'm 5'2", like I'm a relatively tiny human being, and so when he had a feeling that we were going to rush the field, he looks at me and he goes, "You need to put one leg over that railing right now, or you're going to get trampled." So it was definitely really funny, and I remember seeing pictures of people like kissing the grass. I know one of my friends is taking grass from the stadium for that win. So we're a bunch of diehard Purdue fans.
Love it. Love it. Well, do you all want to get into talking about this year's team?
Let's do it.
All right. So what do we want to do first? Do we want to answer some questions? Do we want to give our record prediction? Do we want to do confident points?
I guess just first off, like what's been? Sorry, my lights are flickering in this stupid room. So we haven't had a podcast since a game that won't be named during basketball
in March.
season.
Yeah,
lots happened. What's kind of been, and anybody can answer this, kind of been your thoughts since the end of basketball season now into we're a few days away from the opener. Kind of what's been your just overall impression of how the off season's gone? Start with you, Kylee.
I feel like you guys probably understand this being Purdue fans, that it's like this cycle that happens where there's like all this anticipation buildup, and then you get a tease, and then you get let down, but then you get like back up and then let down again. So I'm kind of at like the really like anticipation point, like the peak, and then like after how we play against Fresno State will determine how long like we're peaked.
Yeah,
sure. The cycle was exactly what I was thinking. I was like, once Braum left and losing O'Connell and Charlie Jones, all the guys in the NFL for the first time, I was like, there's talent, but they're losing a lot. New coach, and like it could be a tough year. And then it's just like, never mind. Now I'm excited.
It's just so hard knowing anymore. Not only just for Purdue, but the state of college football with the transfer portal and everything. I mean, that you can get guys to fill in gaps, and it's kind of almost a rebuilding year every year for everybody, but some teams to more an extent than others. And I think Purdue's in an interesting position because I wouldn't call it a rebuild because they're defending Big Ten West champions. So I don't really think you can call it a rebuild. But yet they did lose a lot of talent, have a lot of newcomers, a whole new staff. So there's a lot of unknowns. But I think that's what makes Saturday even more exciting. I think Evan texted our group message the other day and said he couldn't remember being this excited for a start of football season in a long, long time. And I think I'm right there with him. I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older and I have fewer things to look forward to or what, but I'm ready to take it to the Bulldogs on Saturday. But a lot of unknown questions in that. I think we'll address a few during the podcast.
Yeah, I think for me, the excitement partly comes from the fact that I just have no idea what to expect. I feel like in the past years, it's been like, we kind of know what's going on. Either like we know who the quarterback is, or we know like who's coming back, or maybe we came off a year like in going into 2021, came off a not a great year in 2020. Not that it really counts for anything given the COVID year. But I think just the fact that I have like the fact that I'm not going to know anybody on the defense outside of maybe like 3 players, just makes me excited to see. Like I have no idea what's even going to happen, and I'm ready for it.
I think Evan, you said like the first thing you're going to do on Saturday in Ross-Ade is go buy a program just so you know.
If they still sell, I don't know if they still sell programs, but yeah, I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah,
either that or download it before I get to the stadium because I know it won't download when I get in the stadium. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm either gonna have to download it before or have something printed out for the first time in a while. But no, it's. I think the buzz around Purdue football is pretty high right now. I mean, they've sold a lot of season tickets, over 40,000 season tickets. I think that number's been above what a lot of people around Purdue thought it was going to be. Good home schedule, good road schedule. I mean, tough, very tough. It's one of the tougher ones in the country, but that's also exciting too because there's a lot of opportunities to pull upsets and shock the world and put people on notice, etc. So I got a few questions for everybody here. So let me pull up you. First one's around Purdue's new starting quarterback, Hudson Card, transfer from Texas. Very talented. We've all heard the hype about him. So I want to see if you guys are buying into the hype. How many touchdowns will Hudson Card throw this year, over or under 25?
That's a good question.
I'm going to say over. It's the air raid.
Yeah, I'm going to say over. Yeah, I think, over. But it's like, it's not going to be by much, though. Like 28.
Yeah, I think it'll be over too. I know that Card was like the quarterback for Texas when they almost beat Alabama, which makes me really excited because Alabama is a really high caliber team. So I definitely think it'll be over, but I also have definitely bought into all the hype. So
Right.
Yeah, he was the pretty automatic starter once he arrived on campus, and it sounds like he's worked and earned it as a captain, a clear captain, and everything. But he does have like 3 career starts, 4, maybe?
Right.
Right. Yeah,
he probably had a little bit better offensive line down at
Texas.
I mean, Purdue is a magical place for some people. I feel like Charlie Jones, like if he had not had the season he had at Purdue, he would not have had like the amount of success like with getting drafted in the NFL. So who knows what it'll do for Card.
Yep. Very good point there, and I just hope we can keep him healthy. Purdue hasn't had a quarterback start every game during a season since David Blau in 2016. So it's been a little while. But hopefully this is the year. Sticking with offense, will Devin Mockabee rush for 1,000 yards? He was real close last year.
I'm going to say no, just because I think Tyrone Tracy gets a good chunk of the carries that maybe had gone to Devin last year.
Yeah,
I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm gonna say no as well, because with how Walters talked about how they want to run the offense, they want to make it a lot more like open. So there's probably going to be more passes instead of running, or like vice versa, or like utilizing different players instead of just like running the ball when we have absolutely no option.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no as well. I think when was the last time Purdue had a 1,000-yard rusher? Was it Corey Sheets? I don't remember. It was. I've read it. It's been like a decade. I thought it was like a long time at least. But
that's a good question.
Yeah, same thing. And another thing I thought of, I kind of forgot about the rules change. I think it came up last night in the Ryan Walters show about the clock not stopping after first down, so that's fewer plays, fewer opportunities. So I think offense as a whole is going to come down just a little bit.
Yeah, the clock only stops on first downs the last 2 minutes of each half. So, which is interesting. I mean, they say it's for player safety, but like Coach Walter said last night, it's like 10 less plays a game. So I don't really know why they did it.
Yeah,
but
unless they go hurry up, then you just keep.
That's true. That's true. I'm agreeing with you, everybody, for pretty much every reason. I think the offense can be so spread out, and so many people are going to get touches and everything. And not only Tyrone Tracy, but I think Dylan Downing, a guy that's kind of not getting talked about too much, and he was a workhorse last year at times, and they got a 3-headed monster there in the backfield, and we got some other guys that might get some playing time in the backfield as well that we haven't discussed or read too much about. So yeah, I think he'll still have a good season, but not quite 1,000 yards. But I think his receiving yards will be up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Who will lead Purdue in rushing touchdowns this year?
I mean, the obvious answer is Mockabee, but I mean,
could be Card.
It could be Card. Not sure I want him running into the end zone.
No, probably not. And I think Walter said that too.
Yeah.
I think it's Mockabee.
Yeah, Mockabee.
Everybody in agreement there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, this one might be a little more tricky. Who will lead Purdue in receptions this year?
I've been going back and forth on this for like 3 days. Because I want to say, I feel like TJ Sheffield's an easy answer.
What about like Garrett Miller if he wasn't missing?
That's who I really want to say. Yeah. I'm a sucker for the tight end. I know who knows when he's back though. He might be my answer for a different question. But like Deion Brooks maybe. Like you have no idea.
I think they're going to get him the ball a lot quickly, short passes. So he could be like when Rondell Moore would catch like 12 passes and like he does now with the Cardinals, where he catches 6 passes for 13 yards. But
yeah, I think I'm going to go. I mean, also Abdur-Rahman Yassin, like he could have a breakout year.
Marshawn Rice, he needs to stay healthy, but I'm a big Rice fan.
There's Zion stepped on. He's not on the 2 deeps, but I mean, he could emerge. I'm going to go with TJ Sheffield just from the stance of like he's a locked-in starter and for these first couple weeks.
Yeah, that's kind of what I had talked about with like our officers too. I was like, we need like to put together a compiled list for this podcast I'm going on. And the one that we all came to mind with was TJ Sheffield. But I also know that like Payne Durham played a big role. And I know that like Walter's style of offense is going to be different from Brom's. But if we have like a larger tight end who can fulfill like that kind of duty, then that could also be an option for us too.
Yep. Another guy. There's another guy I want to mention. I don't think he's. I think TJ Sheffield ultimately leads Purdue in receptions, but a guy that's a dark horse I think is Elijah Canyon, who
that's right. Yeah,
played a little bit early last year, then got hurt and never saw any other action. But
playing last year.
But he's a big body wide receiver. Something. If you look at Purdue's roster size for wide receivers, they don't have a lot of big body wide receivers. So if he can stay healthy, he might get a lot of playing time. All right, sticking with wide receivers, who's going to lead Purdue in receiving touchdowns?
Garrett Miller.
I knew that was coming out from your previous answer. Yeah, that's probably a pretty good, assuming he comes back in a week or two.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good guess because I think he'll be utilized a lot in the red zone.
Mm-hmm. Seems like it's going to be pretty spread out because like what we just listed, but there's 5 different receivers that are, I mean, outside of Sheffield and somewhat Miller, they're kind of all a little bit unknown, so it really could be pretty even. I'm going to say Burks just because he's gotten a lot of hype from Walters and camp and everything like that, and as kind of being their big play guy maybe.
With this one again, I'm going to go with Sheffield just because there's they had made the QB wide receiver connection between Charlie Jones and Aiden O'Connell last year, and from what it looks like, they're marketing TJ Sheffield to be Hudson Card's guy. So that's who I'm gonna go with.
Another thought too is maybe like a Devin Mockbee too, out of the backfield, especially in the red zone.
Tracy,
even receptions, we didn't even mention him. He could just those dump offs, but.
Yeah, I think I should just piggyback off her answer. I like the Hudson Card TJ Sheffield connection related to Aiden and Charlie last year. I like that. I want to just go different and say Marshawn Rice, but I don't know. I think Sheffield's kind of a touchdown machine. Hey, Paul produces. Tight end room's going to be good. Tight end room's going to be 4 deep, I think, this year. So. We got an update here on a college football game from loyal viewer Thad Mooney. Utah 7, Florida 0, Nebraska 0, Minnesota 0 in the first quarter.
Florida 3.
Oh, 3, yeah. Reading's hard. Thank you. All right, 2 more questions here. This time, the defense side of the ball. Who's going to lead Purdue in sacks?
Nick.
Yeah, this is the only defender I can name. Oh Jesus!
He's got a little bet with the one of the guest players last night on the Ryan Walters show. Kydron Jenkins and Corton have a little bet against each other, and Kydron Jenkins accidentally said what the bet was. Said it was $100, and Tim Newton's like, whoa! You mean play money, right? He's like, yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think I might go with Kydron Jenkins just to be different because I can't think of another one. Who do you think, Kylie?
We had said Nick Scorton, but we had to pull up the roster because we all knew him as Nick Carraway, and I was like, he changed his name.
At least he kept his number. If he would have changed the name and number, it would have been really bad. But yeah, I mean, there's newcomers along the defensive line too, linebackers. I mean, I would love for Yanni Karloftis to have a breakout, but I don't think he's quite the pass rusher his brother is.
Right,
little different position too. I'm gonna go Kydron Jenkins as well. Andrew, have anybody else?
No. I mean, Yanni Karloftis would be cool, but I don't know if he's going to be in his pass rushers much. Kind of come out of nowhere would be kind of cool.
Right. And lastly, who will lead Purdue in interceptions?
This is the other one. Is there, outside of, I guess, like Sanusi Kane, is there like someone in the secondary that's returning?
Cam Allen is probably
okay,
the easy
Cam
guess.
Allen, yeah.
He had, I
Yeah.
think, 5 last year.
I'm going to switch up. I'm going to go Dylan Thieneman.
Ooh,
freshman.
true freshman.
The freshman, yeah. No, he's supposedly starting, and he's got some speed.
I got a quick trivia question for all three of you. Evan and Andrew might have a better guess because they've been Purdue fans longer, but supposedly Thieneman's the first true freshman to start safety for Purdue for week 1 since whom?
I heard this, and I cannot think of the guy's name.
Mid 2000s. I'll give you. Hint.
So if you couldn't remember his name, and it's not like there were like 2 obvious guesses I had that would have just been just because of their history at safety at Purdue, but
Yeah, there
I
was
know it's
one.
not Stu
There was
Swagger.
one. There was one since Stuart Swagger. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Schweiger was one, and then I was gonna say Bernard Pollard was the other one, the other guess, but
He probably started 2 actually, so there might have been 2 since Swagger. I forgot about Pollard, but there's been one since Pollard. So
You're going to say it, I'm going to hate myself because I know that it's on the tip of my tongue, but I cannot think of it. Do you have a guess, Kylie?
No, considering I was a Notre Dame fan during that period, I would have no idea.
Brandon Irwin.
God.
He didn't finish his career at Purdue. He didn't
No,
play
yeah,
all 4 years.
I wouldn't have gotten that.
I heard it the other day, and I
Yeah.
completely forgot.
Yeah. So I'll go Cam Allen for the interceptions. I think there's a couple sleepers out there though. Some other guys that'll keep it close.
You got to bounce, Andrew?
I do. I have to go.
All right.
Dalton's calling, so I just
All right.
texted. So when you guys get there, you can get to my confidence picks and.
Yep. We
and
got your
records,
predictions.
so,
I like your record predictions. So
yeah. All right. Well. Good to
All
see
right,
everyone.
Andrew.
Have a
Yep.
Good night. Good holiday. See you guys.
yep.
See ya.
See ya. All right.
Then there were 3.
Then there were 3. Did everybody say their leader for interceptions?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cam Allen.
Came out. Yeah. I was glad to see him come back. I was kind of surprised to see
I
him
was too.
coming back and using this
feel-
COVID year, but
I feel like the Twitter fan base had some type of influence on that because I remember checking Twitter and like especially with Devin Mockabee was like the one like, oh my God, is he gonna go to Louisville? And then he posted the GIF from Wolf of Wall Street and everyone went crazy.
I remember that.
But I remember Cam Allen like kind of thinking like, is it even like worth it for me to like be at Purdue this last year? And I really think it'll be worthwhile for him to be here because he is like explosive on the defense. So I really hope that things work out in his favor this year and that it proved him right to stay with us.
I do
was getting a little
too.
worried. Like after we got all these transfers, I was like, man, I hope he does not get lost in the shuffle. You know, especially like new coaching staff maybe wants to play maybe wants to play his guys sort of thing. But so when the 2 deeps came out, I was happy to see that he was penciled in as a starter.
Yep. You got to give it up to the guys, especially the upperclassmen who decided to stay, because it could have been easy probably for them to head down south into Kentucky and play for Louisville, assuming Bromcorp wanted them.
Right.
But because they even nabbed 1 or 2 of our guys after spring ball. So. Yep,
And Jack
yep.
Plummer, like
And Jeff Brom loves himself Jack Plummer. Jack's a
I thought that was the
good guy.
weirdest thing. I was like,
Good guy, but I just don't understand it. But hey,
He gets his third crack at Notre Dame this year. He's 0-2.
Gets another crack at Indiana too.
That's true. Yeah, this will be his third crack in Notre Dame with his third team.
Wow.
See,
Yeah.
Purdue and then Cal last year, and then
I guess at least he gets them at home this year.
yeah, that's true.
But yeah. I will be rooting hard for Louisville 2 games this year.
Yep.
The rest
That's about
we'll see. No, I very thankful for what Jeff Brom and staff did for Purdue football. I will always be. But All right. Well, we will move on now. Let's go to our confident points. We did this last year where we went through every game on Purdue's schedule, gave our confident points from 1 being the least confident that we are in Purdue, pulling that victory. About said upset. I guess 1 would be an upset, right?
Yeah.
And 12 being our most confident. So we'll start with this week's game with Fresno State. Andrew sent his confident points, and Andrew puts 9 on this game.
What'd you put, Kylie?
I put 5.
5.
Just because Fresno State's going on a winning streak. I think they were like 10-2 last year.
Yep.
And at the Walter show, he talked about how they had lost a little bit of their offense, but it seems like that they did really well in the portal. So I think, I don't know, that it's like the first game that Walters has as our head coach, so it's a little nerve-wracking on his end. But yeah, I'm going to go with 5 for Fresno.
Yeah, I originally had this as a 9, but I bumped it down to 8 just because of the fact that it's the first game. I have no idea what this team is going to be about. And Fresno State's got a great coach and great coaching staff that they've been around a long time. And I think it was on Bold Sports that the coaches coached like 160 games or something like that. And this will be Walter's first game. So you got that. But I ended up putting them in at 8.
I went at 8 as well, Evan. Great minds think alike. Yeah, Jeff Tedford, this is his second year at Fresno State. He took over for Kalen DeBoer, who is at Washington.
Right. Yeah.
But they went 10-4 last year and won the Mountain West. He's got overall head coaching record of 118 wins, 75 losses. And their defensive coordinator, Kevin Coyle, used to be a defensive coordinator in the pros, especially for Miami Dolphins down there. They've had 4 10-win seasons in their last 6 seasons. So Fresno State is no joke of a program. They are a pretty darn good program outside the Power 5. Like Kylie was saying, they did do some good work in the portal. They got Mikey Keene is their portal quarterback. He's transferring from UCF. He didn't get a ton of action last year because Dylan Gabriel's down there, but in 2021 he threw 17 touchdowns. They did lose a lot of their rushing attack and receiving attack. I think their leading returning receiver was 4th on the team in reception with 37 yards. That was Eric Brooks. Jalen Gill's a Boston College transfer. Their offensive line is supposed to be the strength of their offense. They protect the quarterback pretty well. And according to some of the Fresno State beat writers, they think the defense will be the strength of the team compared to the offense. They had 30 sacks last year, but they lost 11 and a half of those just by one player leaving.
Wow.
But their defensive backs are supposed to be the strength of their team. Cam Lockridge led the team in tackles and with 5 interceptions last year. So yeah, Purdue's got to play some solid football.
Not making me any more confident.
I think it's a 3.5 spread. We'll get to our actual score prediction later. But yeah, I feel good about having 8 confident points on there. Then next week, the Boilers go on the road to Blacksburg, Virginia, to take on Virginia Tech at Lane Stadium. Not the Virginia Tech team or program they were probably a decade ago, but still a very tough place to play. Enter Sandman, still one of the coolest traditions in college sports. So Andrew put 7 confident points on that one.
What'd you put, Kylie?
I had 4.
I also had 7.
I had 7 as well. So it's will not be an easy one, but hopefully the Boilers fare better than they did in 2015.
Yes.
Week 3 is going to be a fun game. It's a rematch from the still frustrating Carrier Dome. I'm calling it Carrier Dome. I don't remember what the actual name of their dome is anymore.
I didn't know they changed the name. So
yeah, they did last year. I forget what it is. It's something wireless. I don't know. Frustrating loss to Syracuse last year. Get a chance of revenge in the home and home. It's a night game. It's NBC, so Purdue's first NBC. I think first NBC night game ever, because the only other time they played on NBC was at Notre Dame. It was never a night. Mm-hmm. So, what's everybody's confident points against the Orange?
What Andrew put? I'm sorry.
Andrew put 10.
I had 6.
6.
Just because that loss really made me angry last year.
Same.
And then I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Syracuse was ranked at the end of last season, or like towards the end of for the majority of the season, I'm pretty sure that they were ranked at some point.
They started off 6-0 and got ranked,
Yeah.
and then they finished 7-6. So they stumbled along the way, but yeah, they were ranked for a good chunk of the season there for a while.
I had them as 10 as well, simply just because it's a home game. I know there's not a ton of leftovers from last year's team that would have been at least played an integral part in that game, but hopefully those who were around can remind the newcomers of how stupid that ending was.
Yeah, Syracuse lost a lot of talent too, but they got their stud wide receiver and quarterback back. So,
I didn't realize his quarterback was still back.
But they lost their running back. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He was really good. Carter.
Oh, well, the quarterback who couldn't did horrible against us, except the last his only completion in the fourth quarter was that touchdown. That was dumb.
Back-to-back personal foul penalties will do that to you when they're kicking off from the 50. So. Then after that, the Boilers have a foe that has not been kind to them dating back since 2003 because Purdue has not beat them since 2003. That's the Wisconsin Badgers. Luke Fickell, new head coach there, coming into Ross-Ade on a Friday night under the lights.
Kylee, when were you born? I don't even want to know this answer. But
so we were at the Big Ten student section conference, right? And how Minnesota and Wisconsin are like Purdue and IU, and Wisconsin was not there. So there was a ton of Wisconsin slander, but I had pulled up the statistic, and the incoming freshmen for this year were not even born yet when the last time Purdue beat Wisconsin. I was born in 2001, so they did beat them, but not enough.
And the sad thing is, most of those losses weren't even close.
No, they weren't. They weren't.
Drummings, including last year's. That was a disappointment last year. But New Year
2014, it was
that was my 21st birthday, and we were at Camp Randall.
Hey, great place
for a 21st birthday, though.
They don't sell alcohol at Camp Randall, so I couldn't even buy myself a drink.
But everything around Camp Randall's awesome, though.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it's jump around.
Yep.
Yeah, that was terrifying, being all the way up where we were, and I'm like, no, the stadium's shaking, but it was cool.
That's very cool. Very cool. Let's see what Andrew put, because Andrew lives in the great state of Wisconsin. He put. I was giving him credit. They make good cheese. 3.
He put 3?
Yeah. I had them at 3 too.
I have them at 3 as well.
I have them at 2. And the reason why I don't have them at 1, because I wanted to put them at 1 because, again, I'll believe it when I see it because it hasn't been since 2003, is because it's at home. I'm like, that 1, just the fact that it's at home gives it a bump up over what my 1 confidence point is.
I thought about putting them at 2. I never thought about putting them at 1 just because of one opponent. I think we probably will all have at 1, but I could be mistaken. But the reason I put them at 3, I just think the team I have at 1 and 2 is just that much better than they are. But we'll see. Luke Fickell can really coach. He can really coach.
Well, the thing that was brought up on another the World Sports podcast they were talking about is, because he's brought in kind of an air raid offense as well. So it's will that kind of maybe even the playing field? Because before it was just, Wisconsin would just run down our throats because we couldn't stop the run, and then we just see someone or 3 running backs in one game all run for 200 yards each. But maybe with an air raid, maybe it kind of levels the playing field, or not. I don't know. We'll see.
It's going to be interesting to see how Purdue and Wisconsin, especially Purdue with Graham Harrell as the new offensive coordinator, and who they're paying big boy money to, what his air raid offense is going to look like. Because I feel like a lot of college football fans hear air raid, and you think of the old Mike Leach offense right away, where they literally ran it maybe 5 times, 10 times a game, but pass. I don't think it's going to be that extreme, but I still think it will probably be 60% pass, 40% run, or something around there. So I would say we probably average about 10 more passes per game, but I could be way off. So we then have another home game, another night game. We're really blessed with the night home games early on this season. Homecoming against Illinois, which storylines all over the place for this one. Andrew's got 8 on this one.
I would agree with Andrew. I also was at 8.
Sorry, I was looking at our question in the chat. I know this guy. I have Illinois as a 9.
I have Illinois as 9 as well, and the question that Evan's referring to from Cameron Day here on Facebook: how soon will Ryan Walters fold his hat like Hazel? I hope never.
Hopefully never.
I hope never. Didn't work out so well for Daryl.
No.
So, yeah, I'm good without anybody hazeling their hat anytime soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, that game is going to be fun. I mean, not only is it a rivalry game, I think the Walters dynamic with Bielema is going to raise the rivalry higher than it has been in a long time. And just storylines are all over the place. They write
Well, even
themselves.
just like the little dig he took, not only on the Walter show last night, but even like on the This Is Purdue podcast, he mentions it about how like when they came to Purdue and the Ross-Ade Brigade was out, hours before the game even started, packing the place because we couldn't even get people to come an hour and a half away over in Champaign, which we talked about. I mean, last year during the Illinois game when their potential bid for the West champion was on the line, and like it was just empty.
Yeah. When we had met with Walters in the spring and how we told him how we were really excited for him to be at Ross-Ade, because I truly believe that we have some of the best fans in the entire country, like Big Ten. Like, I feel like we could put the SEC to shame if we really wanted to. But he was like, yeah, when you guys drove all the way to Champaign last year and they did a card stunt and we could not read what it said. And he was like, what the hell is going on? Like, I can't even see, like, what our sign's supposed to say. And we have Purdue yelling, like, P-U-R-D-U-E up in the stands because they're yelling I-L-L. Like, he's like, yeah. It was a little
That's
embarrassing on their end.
Oh, yeah. I've that's the Big Ten. I've been there twice. When I was a student at Purdue, I made the road trip over there twice. And not an impressive football atmosphere over there. So, yeah, we definitely do it up right here. We then travel to Iowa, Kinnick Stadium, a place where the previous staff had a lot of success, an opponent they had a lot of success against as well in Iowa. But Iowa's going to be, I think, pretty good this year. This is a night game as well, so that's uncharted territory.
I forgot about that. Crap.
NBC night game. Andrew's got 4 confident points on this one.
Okay, I have 5, so I'm not too far off of them.
I have 7.
I like the way you think, even though I have 4. I like the way
you
think. Yeah,
my thought for 5 was like, I mean, it's like we've had success there. Again, it was the previous regime, but like I just feel like that's a team that, with a lot of other teams, they get scared to go up there, and Purdue just for some reason doesn't. Kind of same way with like Ohio State, at least when they come to Ross-Ade. When we play in Columbus, it's a little different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's. And also, I mean, I don't know how their offense is going to be. Obviously, their defense is going to be incredible. I didn't realize that there was a whole thing going on with Ferentz's son. Like, if they don't average like a certain amount of points, then he's going to be fired.
Yep.
But also, it counts if field goals and defensive touchdowns count towards that, which is stupid.
That's got Kirk Ferentz written all over it. I think the AD wanted him to fire his son. He didn't want to, so he just begged and pleaded, and that was worked out. But then he still pulled weight and said, well, yeah, field goals and defense touchdowns are going to count towards this. So, yeah, interesting stuff up there in Iowa City. Well, Evan, you were just mentioning Ohio State. They kind of fear coming to Ross-Ade. Well, they're coming to Ross-Ade again this year. Our lone home game in October. It's a noon kickoff, which I wish it was 3:30 or a night game, because then you get the upset feelings even more.
But it is like that. I mean, I think you brought it up when it was announced. Like, it is big noon on Fox.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I'd much rather it be later, just from a personal standpoint.
I think Ohio State's going to be really good this year, but I mean, they're talented every year. Andrew has 2 confident points on this one.
I have 3.
I have 2.
I have 2 as well.
I have 3 because it's not Wisconsin and it's at home, so which gives they would have been 2 had it been at Ohio State, or maybe even 1. But the fact that it's at home, and just the last time, we all know what happened last time they came to Ross-Ade. So I'm hoping we have.
I believe Purdue is 3-1 against Ohio State in Ross-Ade. I thought somebody had told me that statistic the other day.
Definitely probably in the last, because we won in 2018. Did we play them at home in the Hazel era, Tanner?
Yeah, we got absolutely. I think it was 49 or 56-0 at half.
Yeah.
That I think that was the only time we played them.
We thankfully missed the Hazel era, Kylie. My God.
And then we beat them in 2011 and 2009 at home.
Yeah.
And should have beat them at 2012 in Columbus. Still one of my most frustrating losses ever. We'll hit on this question here real quick. Cameron Day on Facebook. How's our offense going to look this year with Aiden gone? Are we going to be able to score tutties?
More tutties than last year. Book it.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of wait and see what we see Saturday, but I think we're gonna go. The offense is gonna go as Hudson Card goes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we'll put up some points, but I also think this is. I'm more intrigued by the defense than I've been in a long time in a Purdue team, and I think
100%.
I want to see how good the defense is going to be come Game 12 compared to how they're going to be this Saturday in Game 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I still have a lot of hope for the offense. Maybe not quite as high powered as last year's, but hey, plenty of opportunity for guys to step up. All right, after Ohio State, we go to Nebraska, a team that Purdue's had pretty good success with. New coach there, Matt Rule. Unfortunately, they finally got rid of Scott Frost. Andrew has
currently down 3-0.
To Minnesota?
Yep, 8 minutes, 8:42 left in the
Sounds like a barn burner there on Fox tonight. Andrew has 6 points on this game.
I have it at 4, just because I don't know. I like Matt Rule. I think he's a program builder. I'm very sad to see Scott Frost and all his incompetence leave Lincoln. So yeah, it's kind of like I just don't know about them. So that's kind of why I have them lower than I would Iowa, just because I know more about Iowa. But
I have them at a 9.
Love it.
Strictly on the basis that I think Nebraska football fans are the equivalent of UNC basketball fans.
I haven't heard that before. I like that.
I like that though.
UNC, they're good. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like a lot of people bought into the hype when Michael Jordan was there, and a lot of people bought into the hype with Nebraska when their football was good, eons ago. Grow up.
Dude, that was the 90s. Let's not say eons ago. So we were alive in the 90s.
Yeah, that is true. But
okay, well, you guys weren't that old in the 90s.
No, we weren't.
So.
No, we weren't. Yeah, they haven't been that great since the Tom Osborne days. And if the Big Ten had to do it over, it'd be interesting if they would grab Nebraska
or Rutgers.
Yeah.
Well, they did that strictly for TV. Nebraska was really after Texas went with the Longhorn Network. Nebraska was the first domino to fall back in 2011 or 12, whatever that was. And then now here we are 11 years later, and everybody's just hopping conferences left and right. So I have 5 competent points on this game. So yeah, we'll see where Nebraska is come October. Purdue then travels up to Ann Arbor in Michigan. Andrew's got 1 confident point on this one.
Same.
Yeah, I think I figure we all could agree to that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. Obviously, the Big Ten Championship, obviously all 3 of us were there. That first half was, the fact that we hung with them was really encouraging, but then they definitely kind of flexed their muscle and showed why they won as many games as they did.
But then they choked when it really mattered. So
that's true.
That's true.
But yeah, they're a machine.
Yeah, they're ranked number 2 in the preseason rankings. Quarterback's good. Running back's arguably the best in the country. Defense is scary good. Their head coach has spent the first 3 games, but it's not going to matter. They play cupcake, and cupcake. So, they're going to be really, really tough. First time Purdue has played Michigan besides the Big Ten Championship game since 2011. Or 2012, excuse me. First time they've played up in Ann Arbor since 2011. That's pretty crazy. It's been 12 years since Purdue's played up in Ann Arbor. So, largest stadium in the country, but...
I want to go, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to swing it.
Would love to make the Amazing Blue fans go home sad that day. After that, we welcome PJ Fleck and his boat rowers, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Always a fun opponent to beat. One that kind of had Jeff Brom's number, but thankfully we got the W there last year. Hard-fought win. Andrew's got 5 confident points on this one.
I have 6.
I have 6.
I have 10.
I love it. I love it. They did lose a lot.
They did.
Yeah. They still have Ibrahim, don't they? Or did he?
I believe he left.
Okay.
Yeah, he left. Yeah.
That they have. Sorry to interrupt you. They have what's his name, Otnam Bell or whatever. He's there for a 6th year.
Oh yeah.
That wide receiver. He's never going to leave.
Yeah. What's weird is thinking back to when, because obviously Fleck and Brom were hired the same offseason. And like, had you asked, I mean, I'm pretty sure we talked about it back then. But like, if had you asked me, I would have probably put my very small paycheck on the fact that PJ Fleck was not going to outlast Brom at 100%. Their respective schools, and I'm glad I didn't make that bet.
No, 100%. I thought he had job hopper going to the SEC.
2 years. Yeah, we have like win 8-9 games and then jump somewhere. But
the one thing that I do admire PJ Fleck for is when we were in Minnesota, we were getting a tour of like their stadium and like their facilities, and the whole like row the boat thing that he started at Minnesota. The way that Walters is acting, like it kind of gives me hope that he's kind of like gonna build the fan base into like his own thing, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Some energy. Yep. I mean, Coach Walters is only 37 years old. He's got some staff members even younger than that. So they're relating with the players well, bring just a whole new vibe.
There's always a fine line between like being like the energetic coach and then being phony, because you kind of see it or like having your shtick kind of wear itself out. We kind of saw it. We're kind of see it with Tom Allen down south. Like, 2019, he was like, you would think he was the greatest coach to ever coach football. And then now his whole thing is like people are kind of getting a little tired of what he's doing down there.
Yep. Got a few comments here. Cameron Day said, thanks for taking my call. You guys should collab with Big Time Boilers. Heard they're great guys. And then we got 3 comments here on YouTube from Patrick Kennedy. Ohio State fans are the worst, he says. They are pretty bad. Ross-Ade, 62,000 seats.
Yeah, just under, which is awesome.
And row the boat down Wabash River.
Yikes. The boat might disintegrate.
Yeah, probably.
2 more games to put confident points on here. Travel to Evanston to play the Northwestern Wildcats, who talk about yikes. It's not going to be a good season for the Wildcats in purple there. I don't see them winning a conference game, to be honest. I don't see that, and that's why that's my 12-pointer.
Same.
Mine too. I know we had a fan hold up a sign when we played them that they had only won outside of the U.S.
Yep, they won in Ireland against Nebraska last year.
It's wow. Yeah, they. I don't even know what to think about that. I'm surprised they kept as many guys as they did. I thought they were going to lose about everybody in the transfer portal after everything went down the way it did. But Andrew actually has 11 on it.
I went back and forth between 12 and 11, but the reason I went with 12 is because the reason I went with Northwestern is 12 because they're an absolute dumpster fire.
Yep.
And because of this next game that we're going to be talking about is just because it's a rivalry game. It gave me that slight hesitation of bumping it down to 11. And
that would be the annual Old Oaken Bucket game, the weekend of Thanksgiving. Hoosiers coming to Ross-Ade. Hoosiers, I think, are 6-18 the last 2 years since their miraculous 2020 season, which they still lost their bowl game and put. We're so mad at the Big Ten they took the patch off and everything.
And they spelled their school wrong on their jerseys.
Yes, yes. Things are going great down there. They got a new, great looking,
nice little patio they got going on down there.
Patio with lawn chairs.
IKEA furniture,
Andrew's got.
Have you seen that video, Kylie?
12 points.
What?
Have you seen the video?
No, I have not.
So they introduced a suite, and they're essentially like similar to our south end zone. It's a suite. It looks like they just went out and bought IKEA furniture and put some bar tables, and like now they're gonna charge suite prices for it. I mean, our south end zone was not great, but at least we didn't make people pay sweet prices for it.
Yikes.
Yeah. They got roasted by their own fans, so they were good sports about it.
Yeah. You mean by Notre Dame fans? Yes. And I got to ask this real quick, though, since we brought that up. Please tell me your dad's not a reversible fan, which is Notre Dame football, IU basketball.
Oh, no. This man will root for Purdue as long as they're not playing Notre Dame, and he roots for Purdue basketball. So that was even in my book. He hasn't always paid attention. Like, he rooted for IU basketball back when what's his name was there. I can't
Bob Knight.
Off my head. Yes.
Yep.
But that was like the only time I had known of. And then ever since I think it was Isaac Haas in like the year that they went to Sweet 16 is when my dad started to follow Purdue basketball. And now that I'm there, like he'll even watch it when I'm not even at home. He's like, "What are the Boilermakers doing?" I'm like, "You and me both."
Very cool. Very cool. I just had to ask that because we know a lot of people. We both grew up in Northern Indiana. We know a lot of people who we call reversibles to wear. They're wearing Notre Dame football stuff, and then when Notre Dame loses their second or third game of the season, all of a sudden the IU basketball shirts are coming out. So,
yeah, no, he's not like that.
Good.
Those are the worst people on earth. So,
I have this game for 11.
same.
Me too.
Yep. I would have put it at 12, but Northwestern's just a dumpster fire. In my father, Eric Leeson, and his confident points, I'll go from least all the way up. He's got Michigan 1, Ohio State 2, Wisconsin 3, Iowa 4, Nebraska 5, Minnesota 6, Virginia Tech 7, Illinois 8, Fresno 9, Syracuse 10, Northwestern 11, Indiana 12. So pretty similar. So, all right. With all that said, what is everybody's record prediction? Andrew's got the Boilers going 500, 6-6, which would get them into a bowl, which I think a lot of Purdue fans would view it as a very successful season. I was telling a buddy of mine last night, I hope Purdue fans are patient with this team. Even if, God forbid, we lose Saturday, it's not the end of the world. Still got to be patient. I mean, Joe Tiller lost his first game at Purdue, did just fine. Jeff Brom lost his first game at Purdue, did just fine. Daryl Hazel
Lost his first game, did not do fine.
didn't do fine. Danny Hope won his first game at Purdue, didn't do very well. So it's not the end of the world. I expect a tough game Saturday, but what's everybody's season record prediction? And we can even incorporate what would be your ceiling and your basement as well.
I have the Boilermakers going 8-4.
Oh.
That's very ambitious.
I love it.
Our losses I have is Fresno State, Virginia Tech, Iowa, and Michigan.
So you have us starting out 0-2 and still getting 8 wins.
Yes.
Wow, that would be a heck of a job.
My thought process is there's going to be an adjustment, and they're going to come back and fight really hard for Virginia Tech if we lose, and then it's going to be a game on from there on out.
All right.
If we go 8-4 again, oh my God.
Build a statue now, right?
Yeah. I've got us going 6-6.
6-6.
Yeah, I have us winning all three non-cons, and then Illinois or Northwestern and Indiana. I think my ceiling is probably 7-5, maybe like taking on Minnesota. And then floor probably 4-8. I don't know.
I think I'm going 6-6 as well. I've changed. I do another
podcast.
I did. I said 5-7 Monday on my other podcast, and I've convinced myself since Monday. I've chalked up a different win in there that I didn't have, and that is Minnesota. I've talked myself into the Minnesota game, but even though I got higher confidence points on Virginia Tech, I still that road game, it bothers me. So I got wins over Indiana, Northwestern, Syracuse, Illinois, Fresno, and Minnesota would be my 6. I think ceiling for me would be 8-4. So I really like your 8-4 prediction. I'm all on board with that. I think basement, if everything goes wrong, would be about 3-9. I think, but I mean that would be if injuries and just all sorts of things. So hopefully we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, really, really looking forward to the season and on Saturday. So last thing to do, score prediction for Saturday.
Go ahead, Kylie. I'm still thinking.
She put herself in a corner here by saying Fresno was going to win.
I think it'll be close. I think it'll be like 9-14.
Ooh.
Okay.
So you think Purdue gets 3 field goals?
I think they get a touchdown and a field goal.
Okay.
Oh, that's the next point, yeah.
Okay. I will go Purdue wins 24-21.
I was going to say Purdue wins 28-24.
Yeah, I think it's a relatively lower scoring game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to come down to discipline and special teams play. I think so.
Which in the first game, special teams is always interesting because they don't really practice live special teams in practice. So it's like, God forbid, fumble, punt, or breakdowns happen and they return it. But
well, I'm interested to see who's going to be kick returner and punt returner too.
Have they not said?
I thought like Dylan Downing.
Was it Dylan? I
thought so. They have him listed as both running back and on special teams, and that's the only thing I could think of that he would be doing for special teams.
Let me see. I got the depth chart here on my phone.
Was it Dion?
It was Tracy and Downing for kick returner.
Okay.
And then Marquise Wilson punt returner with Sheffield.
Oh, that's what it was. That confused because I was like, man, because he's supposed to be kind of like one of the better defensive backs we have, and like the fact you put him there on punt returns, same thing. We had Rondale Moore back there. I was like, what are we doing?
Well,
like,
that's
get him out of there.
That's exactly my thought process. That's why I don't mind having Tracy and Downing back there, even though I think they'll be big parts of the offense. They're not probably every game starters. Yeah. Whereas Marquise Wilson's one of your starting cornerbacks. I don't know if I like. And then Sheffield, I don't want him back there.
No.
Unless he's got a fair catch every time. Charlie Jones Charlie, I mean, he's a great returner. That's how he made the Bengals. He's going to be their punt returner, which kudos to Chuck Sizzle there. But I think as the year went on last year and he was banged up, he said, okay, I'm just going to fair catch stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's not worth it.
Which there's a lot to say in that because we've seen a lot of horrific muff punts in our day, haven't we, Evan?
Yeah.
A couple questions.
What were you going to say, Tan?
A couple questions here from Patrick Kennedy on YouTube. Yeah. What game will Purdue upset win? So what game will Purdue pull an upset?
Ohio State.
I hope so.
We have like people from the conference that we were at that are coming in for that game because it's Ohio State's break. So I really hope that they get to experience an upset in Ross-Ade while they're there.
Very cool.
I'll say, that'd be my pick. Where like I could see, I would assume maybe like a Minnesota's probably be favored when they come in, or even like maybe in Illinois could be favored when they come in, just because it depends on kind of how we start. But
maybe this is finally the year. Maybe this is finally the year we get Wisconsin.
I might cry.
It's a Friday night. Maybe that's what it.
Yeah,
what
it doesn't say like we can't beat them on Saturdays. Yeah, we can't beat them on Saturdays. We're gonna change the day of the game.
And 20 years in the making.
And I wonder, that one thing with Friday nights, sometimes they're not as well attended because they're hard to get to. I wonder if that'll affect Wisconsin's crowd.
I hope.
So, and Patrick said 85 degrees kickoff this Saturday.
God,
love it.
Yeah, I saw that.
Gonna be warm, but that's
warm.
all right. That's all right.
ISU last year was atrocious. We were all sunburnt, and our paint was melting off of us. So I'll take 85 over 95. So.
Yes,
I think my freshman year, our first game was Middle Tennessee State, and it was like 95. I wore jeans. Yep. It's cool.
Yeah, Ricardo Allen blocked field goal, or we don't win that game. Fun stuff.
I did have a question. We had a question from Twitter for you, Kylee. So it was from Dustin Blythe. I hope that's how you say your last name, Dustin. I apologize if I mispronounce it. He's saying he hears the chatter from the fan base, but amongst the students, is there a desire to move on from shout and start a new fourth quarter tradition?
So I have also seen the chatter. I love shout. I think it's one of the things that really sets like Ross-Ade aside. I know that there's another school that does. I can't remember who does shout, but I think we do it better. And seeing like the video on ESPN opening night with Penn State and the entire stadium is doing shout is one of the coolest things that you will ever see. So when we had met with athletics and we talked about traditions, they said that shout is not going anywhere. So I'm sorry to the fans who are anti-shout, but I personally like shout. So
I know why you like it, because I think, and the reason why, like myself, I might include Tanner in on too. I'm not sure how he feels about it, but a lot of I hate saying older fan base because we're not that old, but those of us that were there, those of us who were there, like especially during the Hazel eras, when it started. When did it start, Tan? Did it start with Hope, Or was it Tiller?
It was Tiller. It was Tiller.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was funny, like when it got to like End of Hope into Daryl Hazel games when it was like we're playing Wisconsin, it's 68-0 at the end of the third quarter.
There's 12 people in the stands.
There's 3,000 people and 2,500 of them are Wisconsin fans, and like they're trying to do shout. It's like the most demoralizing thing. So I think that's the alumni base has that image of a empty Ross-Ade, and then they're trying to get the crowd fired up to a game that we're not going to win at all. But yeah, it's been a lot more enjoyable these last couple of years.
Yes.
So I will say that.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's some PTSD from the Hazel era that I'm just never going to get over. But I just Googled who else does shout. It's Oregon. Oregon is the other school that does shout.
I didn't realize their stadium's smaller than Purdue's. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's surrounded by forests, so the noise bounces off the trees. It's very loud there.
Well, that'll be interesting when they are actually in the Big Ten and we're both doing shouts.
Yeah. It's gonna feel like a home game out west.
Yeah.
Patrick Kennedy asked, "Does the Tiller Tunnel have AC?"
So I got a sneak peek the other day of Tiller Tunnel, and I'm pretty sure it's air conditioned. They did have fans in there because it was getting painted, so it could have been placebo effect. But it wasn't hot in there, so
yeah, that's gotta be great.
That long anyway, so
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And
are they gonna have like? I guess can you see? Do you know if they're gonna have like is there like video boards in there? Like they're like, or is it just gonna like paintings, or do you know what's gonna be like the decorations in there?
So I've seen the decorations, but we were not allowed to take pictures of them. So for athletics purposes, I will not disclose what's inside of it until they let the public know.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, that is getting dedicated homecoming against Illinois. Arnett Tiller is going to be back. A lot of former players are going to be back. I know Sean Phillips is going to be the honorary captain that game. The A-Train Mike Allstott is going to be the honorary captain this Saturday. Yep. So always good to have the A-Train back. And Patrick Kennedy, he's suggesting ACDC's Highway to Hell for a new tradition. So I'm excited to see what the song's going to be with the intro video. I'm always pumped for that week one.
Yep.
Because last year was cool.
I don't know. Okay. But yeah, I asked my mom to play War Pigs in the car, and she asked if I had a skull, and I was like, no, it's because it was the hype video for us. Like,
oh, that was a great one. I loved that Crazy Train last year. That was fun. That was a fun one. More times than not, they're good. There's been a couple of years where it's doesn't do much, but
I feel like with the marketing team and how like Walters is on social media, especially with like all like the 90s rap and stuff that they've been including, I think it'll be I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Good. Yeah. That's a good point. Anything else you'd like to plug or talk about in regards to the brigade or this year's
Actually, I did have one other question. Sorry, and it's going to put you on the spot. Yeah, just because I just thought of this because it was. Cause I know you're a big sports fan in general. We had a discussion about this in our group chat the other day. So you have 100 points that you can divvy up between your favorite sports teams based off how big of a fan you are of that team. How would you divide up your points?
All right, so my sports teams
are
they're the Chicago Cubs.
Oh Jesus, we can end this.
Wait, do I just split it up between Purdue basketball and Purdue football, or is Purdue?
Yes.
Okay, so Purdue basketball, Purdue football, and then Tampa Bay. Okay, so I'm going to have to give 60 to Purdue, like, to start off, and I think I'll go...
Like 60 football, or is that 60...
That's 60 for Purdue as a whole. So then 40...
What if you were splitting up 40 and 20?
Yeah, but don't hate me for saying that 40 of it is for Purdue football and 20% of it is for basketball. Okay. Just because I don't have paint crew and I never have, so my experience in Mackey is probably a lot different than a lot of other people's, but like my experience in Ross-Ade has always been super special. Okay, so yeah, I would do 40 and 20 for football and basketball. That leaves me with 40. I would go 10 for the Bucks because I haven't really been paying attention to them, and then 30 of it would be for the Cubs.
Fair. Very fair. I think if I'm not mistaken, Evan, wasn't I tied with Purdue football and basketball?
Yeah, tied.
But I will say, and even though Purdue basketball's, I would say between the two, for most Purdue fans, Purdue basketball is more popular than football. But there's just something about a college football Saturday.
Yes,
It's more of an event, not just the game. Whereas basketball, it's cold outside. You're not going to do anything. You're going to go to the game.
you get to the stadium, you get in, get out. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whereas football, I mean, the tailgating, it's only 6 or 7 Saturdays a year. Normally, some good fall weather. I just as a whole event, there's something about that. So if I had to choose, gun to my head between the two, I would probably side with you and choose Purdue football.
I think mine was 40 for Purdue basketball, 35 for Purdue football. Because it's a slightly more bigger basketball fan, but there is something like I've been like not being able to sleep this week because I'm so excited for Saturday. Like if basketball, I get that way too. But yeah, there's just something leading up to that week before a big football game for sure.
Yep. So, anything else you'd like to plug for the brigade? Is it too late if students are listening to this and want to join the brigade? Is it too late?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So the way that Purdue works, and it's probably going to have to change because of how increasingly popular it is students would buy a boarding pass and then they add on the additional packages for like the student sections that they want to be in. I'm not sure if it was the same way when you guys were here. But we sold out of boarding passes in 48 hours. So the freshmen didn't get the option. And it was extremely unprecedented. So go us for getting people to come out to the games.
That's awesome.
But if you have a boarding pass but don't have Ross-Ade Brigade, call the ticketing office and have them add us to your account. That's the only way to do it. Sorry if you've been requesting to join us on Boiler Link. I cannot accept you that way. And then we also have t-shirt pass out tomorrow. We're not doing it at the games. So just a PSA.
If a student wants to join, like try and, become a board member of the brigade, like what does that process look like? Or when would they look out for those type of call outs?
So we have actually like a Google form we're going to be pushing on social media, which people will fill out. And then as an executive board, we're going to filter through the responses and then give people a call back and be like, hey, we want to sit down with you for an in-person interview. And then after like that second round of interviews, we'll let you know if you're going to be on the board or not.
Solid.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Well, before we let you go, I have to ask, are you a fan of Mad Mushroom, in particular their cheese sticks?
So I'm gluten-free, so I can't have the cheese sticks.
Oh.
But they have a good gluten-free pizza.
All right. I thought I set up for a home run there, and then I thought I struck out. But yes, we are excited to announce that we are sponsored again for 3 or 4 years in a row. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head.
Year. Yeah,
fourth year in a row by Mad Mushroom, and you can use promo code BREAK5 for $5 off any order over $20. Mad Mushroom's been serving Boilermakers since 1993. They're located in the heart of West Lafayette, and they're known as the home of the original cheese sticks. But whenever Evan, Andrew, and I go there, we like to sit down, have an ice cold beer while trying out their latest pizza of the month, which unfortunately I don't know what it is yet. For September.
It's a new month. It's a new month tomorrow, so yeah.
But watch on our socials. We will have it up there tomorrow. So next time you're in West Lafayette, stop in, tell them the Boiler Breakdown sent you for $5 off any order over $20. Or any Boiler Breakdown listener or reviewer can use that coupon code BREAK5 in all caps online at madmushroom.com. That's Mad Mushroom. Feed your head.
Got to enjoy some Mad Mush at your bachelor party.
Yes, we did. I could go for some right now. I'm pretty hungry. And Evan, for our other sponsor, they've been really pumping out the Purdue gear lately.
Mm-hmm. They have. Kylie, are you familiar with the shop located?
I am not.
Yeah, so the shop, this is their third year with us now. Based in Indianapolis. Actually, they're Purdue owned, which is awesome. But they specialize in they have licenses with a lot of Indiana colleges: Purdue, IU, Ball State, Indiana State.
DePaul, Wabash.
Wabash. Not Notre Dame because screw them. But they do a lot of like vintage gear. The shirt I'm wearing is from the shop. Great people. They do all things Indiana, like forest or anything, like they'll use vintage gear for anything, all things Indiana, the state of Indiana. You can get sweatshirts, t-shirts, mugs. I've got a glass that has the drum. I'm trying to think what else they have. They do stuff with the Pacers.
Colts.
I don't know if it's actually a thing with the Colts though.
Indy 500.
They're huge with Indy 500. That's like their biggest thing.
Indiana staples. I mean, like concert venues, old arenas down and around anymore. Really cool things all over the board.
They've been doing they started out in 2011 in a garage in the basement essentially, and now they've got 2 brick and mortar locations in Indianapolis, and then they also have an online store. And they've been great with us. If you use promo code breakdown when you check out, you get 25% off your entire order. Great people. Shirts are incredibly comfortable. Sweatshirts are incredibly comfortable. They've been doing the vintage thing kind of before it became really, really popular as of late. So they're really fun to work with. I'm really glad to have them on again.
And they got some NIL deals with a few college athletes too. So go support those athletes as well. I'm not sure who they got on the docket for Purdue this year, but
yeah, I know
sure they got somebody.
We've done an interview with Alex. He looks like he's the co-owner. He's a Purdue grad. We did an interview with him a couple years ago, and he wants to come back on. So we'll have to get because I'm really interested to interview him again. Because when we first interviewed him was like right when NIL kicked off, and I'm anxious to see how it's been going for the last couple of years.
Yes. So, anything else you'd like to plug as we call our season kickoff episode a close here?
No, I'm just really excited, and I hope Boilermaker fans, wherever they're traveling from, are ready to kick off the season for the 100th season in Ross-Ade this year.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. That's something we didn't even mention. The 100th season in Ross-Ade. It's hard to believe, but I know Purdue's doing a lot of fun things. They're doing a new podcast I saw with Tim Newton leading the way, where he and I don't remember who his co-host is, are going to interview different players, one player a week, and bring up some of the most memorable wins in Ross-Ade history. So a lot of cool stuff Purdue's doing. Marketing department's doing a great job. Can't be more excited to get in Ross-Ade on Saturday, and let's boiler up, hammer down, and beat the Bulldogs.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, Kylee.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.